Afternoon, good afternoon. It's such a wonderful day. I am so thankful to God because He has blessed me to be here one more time. It is such a blessing and a privilege to be here. This is Point of View, and I am Miss Shirley Polk. I will not be on camera today, but I am live. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. Today we are going to talk about marriage. And the question is, can a marriage survive without intimacy? Can a marriage survive without intimacy? And I know that many of us have known of people who are living together and as married couples, and we've heard that they have no intimacy in the marriage, but yet they stay together, and some stay together until death does part them. Okay, so is it possible? Can a marriage survive without intimacy? And if you're going to say the basic marriage, I believe that it can. I really believe that it can because I've heard of people living that way. Living that way. It's hard to fathom or to believe that people would like to live that way. But hey, partnerships. Sometimes people become partners in the relationship and they handle it as a business arrangement and they do what they need to do in order to survive together. So I'm going to go to one of my pieces that I have here. Can a marriage survive? Can a partnership? So I want to go here because I want to tell you the name of the site. One is therapyroute.com, therapyroute.com. And can a marriage survive without intimacy? And there are five things to consider here. And also, I have another that I want to get into, and it talks about there are some people who have contracts of marriage, and they have business arrangements of marriage, and all different things like that, and they are legal. So, hey, if it's legal, it's legal. Okay? So some are recognized, like what we call a marriage is recognized federally and I'm pretty sure internationally. And then we have the contracts and we have the arrangements and those things are state by state. So 10 ways, one is 10 ways to improve a marriage without love, but I want to go to this first one that I have. Therapyroute.com. And there's another one that I had also, and I want to make sure I give credit to that site. What can a marriage survive without intimacy? Five things to consider. Can a marriage survive without intimacy? Therapy Route. Therapy Route. RUPE.com. Right into that. Okay. And this was updated on the 13th of October in the year 2023. Explore the significance of intimacy in marriage and discover if a relationship can thrive without it. Learn about the key types of intimacy, warning signs, and solutions to maintain a strong, healthy bond in your partnership. It is a widely accepted idea that a marriage without intimacy is doomed to failure. People accept that. and they need to be believable. Then some people, you have to have an open mind to many things. Everything is not just black and white. And so when we look at the overall picture, look at the big picture of everything, we see some different things, okay? So it is widely accepted, it's a widely accepted idea that a marriage without intimacy is doomed to failure, whether or not this is an absolute fact may be debatable. However, most people intuitively sense the intimacy, sense that intimacy is a critical component of marriage, and most psychological professionals would agree. So Suzanne B. Phillips, PsyD, argues that sexless marriages arise from a lack of emotional intimacy. She goes on to state that an intimacy-free marriage can develop from an array of issues, all conspiring against the willingness of partners to be vulnerable with each other. And it's sad that some people get to the point where uh, they don't have any feelings for each other as far as what is romantic feelings for each other. But some marriages just turn into that. Some marriages turn into that. And so she goes on to state that an intimacy-free marriage can develop from an array of issues all conspiring against the willingness of partners to be vulnerable with each other. She writes, sexless marriages involve a loss that remains unspoken and frequently unaddressed. And I've told you this that I heard, well, I saw a video, and it really is disturbing to me that a child would video the parents fussing and cussing and berating each other, and then put it out for the world to see. And I saw this, and there was the son was videoing his mother and father, and they were talking about each other so in such negative ways and belittling each other and talking about their sex life and their bodies and all of that in bad ways, berating each other. It's just terrible. But yet, evidently, they were still together as a married couple. So this lady writes, sexless marriages involve a loss that remains unspoken and frequently unaddressed. And I believe that people, like she said, vulnerability, some people don't like to show that vulnerability anymore because many times we become vulnerable and we've expressed our feelings and we've just given ourselves to our significant other, and we have been hurt so till we just can't do it anymore. And that I know is some people's point on this that I've given and I've given and I've given, and I've been hurt, I've been rejected, and I just won't do it anymore. I'll stay here, I'll help pay the bills, we'll be partners in survival, but as far as the intimacy, no way, no how. And some people live like that, and I think that is such a sad, sad thing because you can live out your days loving each other if you put in the work, if both put in the work, if they're willing to recover the emotional care for each other, recover the love and all that. If they're both willing to work on it, it can be fixed, it can be mended. But if you have one that doesn't want to put the work in, then hey, it's a hard thing. But some people stay together. They stay together for financial reasons. They stay together just mostly financially, and then some just say, we've been together so long, we might as well stay together. He can do what she wants to do. He can do what he wants to do. She can do what she wants to do. And we have many people like that. So the question is, can a marriage survive without intimacy? And in reality, it is possible, but rare. Emotional intimacy in marriage, it can be too, is statistically necessary. The role of intimacy in a marriage is our section here, next section. The American Psychological Association defines intimacy as an interpersonal state of high emotional closeness with those with whom one is in close, loving, or affectionate relationships. From this, we can infer that sex does not necessarily need to be included in these close, loving, or affectionate relationships. However, the well understood need of adults for loving sexual contact is certain to fall into the scope of that definition. Therefore, a healthy marriage will include emotionally and physically satisfying sexual activity. And of course, intimacy is more than just sex. Intimacy is more than just sex. The types of intimacy include, but are not limited to, emotional intimacy, and that's the ability to share emotions with one's partner in safety. Okay? Then there's the physical intimacy, the ability to touch, be close, share affection, and have intercourse. Intellectual intimacy, the freedom to share one's thoughts, ideas, concerns, and interests with one's partner. Now, the next is creative slash imaginative intimacy. Imaginative intimacy. That's the freedom to share creative efforts or interests with one's partner. And then, clearly, true dash full intimacy goes far beyond mere sex. One person's intimacy needs it needs any very excuse me, one person's intimacy needs may vary widely from those of another. In a healthy marriage, the needs for the various types of intimacy between the two partners will match up in a complementary way. They'll match up. So, in the absence of this, a relationship is likely to be unhealthy. There's emotional intimacy, a part of a relationship. And I have to say here that I also know people, as a matter of fact, when sickness comes in, and you love and you care for the person, and you might not have that intimacy as far as sexual activity because they might not be able to engage in that time. So you can still be attached emotionally, you can love them emotionally, but there might not be that physical connection, okay, as far as the intimate part of the sex, right? So there's emotional intimacy, the heart of a relationship. For brevity, we will refer to intellectual, creative, imaginative, and emotional intimacy simply as emotional intimacy. As such, We can define it as an aspect of relationships varying in intensity and involving a feeling of closeness, sharing personal feelings, and a sense of personal validations. And I'm sure that there's somebody listening to me now that understands what I was saying when your spouse is ill, even though you don't have that sexual, physical relationship, when that love is there, you stay with them and you take care of them, whether it's lacking or not. Take it from someone that can tell you for a fact. Okay? So without this, marriage becomes more like an ongoing business transaction. And when it gets to the point where two people that have a reasonable portion of health and they just don't want to be with each other in that way again, then it becomes a business transaction. And many people live like that. Live in a marriage partnership. They live and it is a business transaction, lacking the care, the support, the trust, and acceptance human beings crave and require. So without this emotional, all the emotional, the trusting and all that, without this, marriage becomes more like an ongoing business transaction, lacking the care, lacking the support, lacking the trust, and acceptance human beings crave and require. So in such a scenario, partners will either go apart, slowly turn against each other, or resign to suffer in prolonged silence. And so many people do. That's why I say, if you don't want the person, if you don't want to be with the person, free them, let them go their way. And I know some people, they would rather stay there than to leave. But it's best to, yeah, be happy to be happy. There's someone out here that loves you and that will care for you. You don't have to stay in a situation like that. You just don't have to. You really don't. So in such a scenario, partners will either go apart, slowly turn against each other, or resign to suffer in prolonged silence. And it's a shame that there are so many people who are unhappy right now because they're in that situation. And some people tell people whether you're happy or not, you need to stay there. But I don't believe, I don't believe you should have to stay in a miserable situation. Because physical intimacy, more than just sex, it is non-controversial that most humans need/desire a physical release of sexual energy. Physical intimacy includes this, but it is much more than that. It includes the ability to show affection, to play, and to be comfortable in close proximity. Would you rather be loved than be miserable? Wouldn't you want to be loved instead of being miserable? Would you like to give your love to somebody who appreciates that love rather than being miserable? Oh my goodness, I don't think God wants us to be miserable, unhappy, and tormented all the time. So some of the healthiest forms of physical intimacy include a message. Excuse me, I'm looking right at the word. Some of the healthiest forms of physical intimacy include a massage given to one's partner after they come home from a long day of work, or play, tickling, back scratching, effortless hugs and kisses, and more. Physical intimacy largely expresses an intermingled feeling of trust and affection. While uncommon, a marriage can have great physical intimacy with little or no sex. Sometimes you just want to just hug and cuddle and smooch and all of that. And it doesn't have to be intimate intercourse all the time. And you're happily married, you know exactly what I'm saying. So when trust, affection, or a sense of safety is lacking, all physical intimacy will likely vanish. And if you're with someone that you cannot trust, that's that's not good. That's not good. And if they've shown you that they can't be trusted, hmm, don't you think you have to do something? Like maybe move around? And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just asking you a question. I believe that we should be happy. I believe that we should be happy. And I want everybody to be happy. If you're in a marriage and relationship and partnership, you should be happy in it. You should be happy. God wants us all to be happy. He wants us to live our lives and just enjoy each other. I know He does. And I thank Him for everything that He's done in my life. Even though I don't know what He's doing, one day, if it's the will of the Lord, I believe it's going to be long. Okay? I'm just so thankful. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. Hello, Brother Lewis McCollister. Thank you so much for being here. Talking about marriage, and it's just a shame that some people are married, living in the same household, and they do not like each other, that they give each other love and affection anymore. They can't stand each other, living in separate parts of the house. Now, if it's for financial reasons and all that, and they can go along and all of that, so more power to them. But I think it's just, if you're married and you don't have any kind of intimate relationship, I think that's such a waste of lifetime. Communication, the gateway to intimacy. So, how can we reestablish intimacy when it has been lost? The answer is communication in marriage. The partners can express what is stopping them from feeling the trust or affection needed for intimacy, and goodwill between partners still exists. There may be hope for that marriage, and that's true. Just talk it out. Some people will not talk about it. You need to talk to each other, and then you'll know where the other one stands. And then if you have to part ways, then hey, you'll understand that. And you can do it and, agree to do it. Often, relationship counseling is needed for this communication to take place in a professional marriage therapy setting. Troubled couples can have ground rules for healthy communication laid down for them. If both partners could give an honest effort in such a setting, a real emotional connection can be reestablished. And I really believe that. I really believe that. I think everybody wants to be loved. I think that they want to be loved by a partner. I know they do. It's just is the one that you with the right one. I'm not telling anybody to go divorce. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just talking here. And I'm talking about this research that's taking place and the proof they have through hey, testing people and looking into relationships and counseling people. Years of research. So in successful relationship counseling, couples often learn that they have different ways of verbally expressing or talking about love. We call these love languages. And when we learn to recognize and understand the love language our partner is speaking, the result is often a breakthrough, followed by a beautiful experience of a renewed love bond. It is possible. And I tell people, don't give up. Don't give up. If you want the marriage to work, talk it over and get some help. But most of all, you need to pray and ask God to mend this. And if He leads you to a counselor, a marriage counselor, hey, don't be ashamed to go because when God leads you to one, He's going to lead you to somebody that can truly, truly help you. Now, when intimacy is lacking, here are the warning signs, okay? Intimacy can fade slowly, making its loss hard to spot. There are some important signs to look for, and it can get away. And you know, the worst thing in the world is to love someone, to me, in a marriage, is to love someone and they don't love you back. It hurts to the core, okay? It hurts to the core. And I thank God for Elder Davis. I thank God for Elder Davis. And I miss him truly. I know he's going on to get his eternal reward. And God is still God. Okay, he's still God. Intimacy can fade slowly, making its loss hard to stop. Here are some important signs to look for. Physical intimacy issues, a feeling of distance, neither partner talks about their emotions, one partner shares more than the other, touching outside of the bedroom stops, listening to each other is difficult. These and other early warning signs strongly indicate that trust has been lost. Recovering that trust is critical. You have to work on recovering that trust. Hello, Overseer Don, thank you for being with me. And Brother Matthias, thank you. That's a brother and sister, everybody. Oh, yeah. There are early warning signs that strongly indicate that trust has been lost. Recovering that trust is critical. There are five things to consider. And can a marriage survive without intimacy? Here are five things to consider, okay? Number one, what types of intimacy does each partner need most? Different people will need or crave different types of intimacy. Janet Brito, PhD, LCSW, CST, argues that different types of intimacy need to be nurtured and that a failure to do so can result in a lack of trust. Number two, why or how has trust been lost? Diagnosing the root of the problem can be like solving a mystery because some people come up, they don't talk, they don't need to talk about it. But you have to talk about it. Diagnosing the root of the problem can be like solving a mystery. But Carly Snyder writes that rebuilding trust in a relationship requires partners to recognize why they have lost trust and address it in good faith. Number three, what is the root of the problem? You have to get down to the root of the problem, the cause of the problem. What is the root of the problem? The root cause could be communication failure, it could be sexual dysfunction, it could be disagreement, etc. It could be those and then some other things. Dr. Janet Buto calls communication the foundation of a healthy marriage. Without it, the relationship will crumble. Number four, has the distance developed into resentment or worse? And see, when people don't talk about it, they don't have an understanding of what's going on with the other, and so they become distant from each other. And then you ask them, well, what is going on? I don't know. Well, how did this happen? I don't know. It just happened. I think marriage is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, and it can work. But both parties have to be willing to be all in. Each one has to give 100% of themselves to the marriage. Marriages has the distance developed into resentment or worse. Marriages have about a 50% success rate in the United States. You know that, just 50%. Dr. Harriet Lerner writes that people bring baggage from their first families and develop more over time. And that's true because people have had things that go on even in their childhood, and then they get married and they bring some of those negative things, they bring those negative things over into the marriage. And then that affects the marriage if they don't get some help and get released from that. And many people just don't know. That's why I was saying the other day, there are people who can counsel on marriage and counsel so that people can be prepared and know what to do before they get married. Marriages have about 50%. This is terrible. Success rate in the United States. Harriet Lerner writes that people bring baggage from their families, their first families, and develop more over time. Strong animosity can develop from the absence of quality communication, making the chances of recovering the marriage increasingly less likely. And that's a hard thing when someone doesn't talk to you. And like Miriam at home, she said, "Don't tell all you know, but know what to tell." But some of these things are bringing bad memories. When you're in a marriage and the person just had these no talking spells to you, but then they talk to everybody else and you wonder what is going on. Why? Now why? That's not good. That is not good. So learning and respecting your partner's love language. So when they don't communicate, it's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. Number five, learning and respecting your partner's love language. It is widely understood and accepted that people speak of and express love and ideas about love differently. Uh, Somebody's not going to express your love just like you express. Wait a minute. They might express their love differently than what you're used to, as long as it's not harmful. Okay, not harmful, emotionally or physically. Now we have to get that straight. But people approach you in a different manner, and if it is affectionate and it is good for you, let them express themselves in that manner. It is widely understood and accepted that people speak of and express love and ideas about love differently. And now we're in the conclusion. Intimacy is one or more of its multiple in one or more of its multiple forms is key to the success of any marriage. The lack of intimacy, according to this, okay, the lack of intimacy in marriage can mean devastating losses for both partners, and that is so true. The lack of intimacy, that emotional intimacy, if your partner or you are not able to function in a physical way, you still can have that emotional connection and that emotional intimacy that can keep that marriage. Okay? The lack of intimacy in marriage can mean devastating losses for both partners, financially and emotionally. Fortunately, marriage without intimacy can be recovered, and many years of successful marriage counseling practices have provided the data needed to back that claim. And then we can, to find out more, you can go to this therapy route, therapyroute.com. And then to learn more and discover how reevaluating your relationship and seeking professional help to restore the loving bond that you and your partner deserve, you can get in touch with them today. And then if you need counseling, I am a counselor. 35, 55. So we have one more piece here that I want to bring to you. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm going to go to one more that I have here. And just did that. Okay, let's just get over here and get to the other piece. Because this is very, very important. And while I'm finding that, I just want to say that we'll be realizing our my cousin Drexel Gaffney, Pastor Drexel Gaffney, mother tomorrow in Fort Worth, Texas. And I ask you to please remember them in prayer. Him and Sheila, Curtis, Tony, and Olin. Please remember them in prayer. Okay? Thank you so much. I know you will. I know you will. God is able to sustain them and keep them, give them comfort and comfort that they need in order to get through this. And I need to talk about partnerships, and I had information here that I talked about different partnerships because some people get married, contract, partnership for business reasons and to help each other out. They do that. And so marriage has changed in so many ways. And hey, we have to accept the fact that there are some changes. And then there are legal ways being in a relationship. Legal, legal. Okay? Some people just think one way and are closed minded about other ways. And things have changed. Things have changed. And we're so set so many times and it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. And I'm not saying, just what they call shack and ball. Hey, you have to go back and read the Bible, go back and see the things that transpire. Look at Ruth and Boaz, Look at different things. Look at different things and quantify this. And I had fun because it was really, really good. Oh my goodness. I hope your day is going really well. I really appreciate you. That's good. You know, I say that over and over. I appreciate you for being here with me. Because you are awesome. You are wonderful. And I thank you so much for being here. And this information that I'm sharing. So, again, so with this, and I might have to come back to it. But here is an article from her marriage without love, and this is from Microsoft Business. A marriage where one of both partners do not feel in love is known as a loveless marriage. In such unions, partners may feel distant and feel and disconnected. Isolation, resentment, and hopelessness are common side effects of a loveless marriage. However, a marriage can survive without love if both partners want to carry on the relationship. You hear that? If both partners want to carry on the relationship. This is good right here. So let me make sure I get into this. Usually, okay, find your loveless marriage. And then also says, however, a marriage can survive without love. And so many people's marriages have survived without love. Because they said, hey, we're going to be together, we might as well make this a business partnership. And we can make it with each other. But now I want to believe that if you are married to each other, that you should have other people, relationships with other people. And I don't believe that. I'm talking about intimate relationships. If you're not going to be intimate with each other and you're married to each other, you either don't do it or you get in the position legally where you can have another relationship. All right? However, marriage can survive without love if both partners want to carry on a relationship. Communication is key to any relationship, and prioritizing the relationship can help bring excitement to a boring relationship. When in a loveless marriage, you can either stay in the marriage while letting the resentment build, work on making things better, or choose to end the relationship. There are three things, okay? When you're in a loveless marriage, and it's a terrible thing to fall out of love. And that's why I say, if you don't care about the person, leave the person alone. There's some people that run after people and then they get them and then they mistreat them and mess their lives up. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. I think that's an awful thing for someone to do. If you don't want me, leave me alone. Why did you call me in the first place? Why? And then you get people's feelings all built up and they love you, and then all of a sudden you don't want the relationship. Somebody doesn't want the relationship. That's mean. That is so mean. That's why people need to be careful because so many people are maimed and dead because of that very, very thing. Messing with someone's life. People's lives are very important. And I think it's awful. It's awful to mess up somebody's life like that. Now, I'm going to do this how to be happy in a loveless marriage, and I'm going to do a cold read right here. Okay? Got 15 minutes. But these are some different ideas and different things because If you want to stay together, if you're not fussing and fighting and cussing and all of that, and if you are living in peace and it's benefiting both of you, hey, what else is there to do? How to be happy in a loveless marriage. 10 ways. This is a cold read here, okay? I'm going to read it, and we can make up our minds as to whether we agree with this or not. All right, but this is some of us kind of read. Somebody done wrote this. All right. How to be happy in a loveless marriage. 10 ways. This is reviewed by Mert Secker, or Seeker, rather. S-E-K-U-R, psychologist. Uh, it's by Rachel Page, who's an author, and it's February the 12th, 2024. And here we go. In this article, what is a loveless marriage? Is it healthy to stay in a loveless marriage? 5 signs you're in a loveless marriage. 10 ways to be happy in a loveless marriage. Is divorce better than a loveless marriage? And then we have a takeaway. The first time I heard that, I heard saying, okay, this is marriage.com. She said, the first time I heard the question as a psychiatrist, I wanted to answer bluntly, you can't. But as time went on, I realized I was wrong. Hmm, this is very interesting. It is possible to be happy in a loveless marriage. After all, a marriage can be about family and not just your partner. A person's happiness is not tied to a single person. It never was and never is. Oh, listen to this. My goodness. If there is one person in the world who is responsible for your happiness, it's you. So, how to be happy in a loveless marriage? If it is possible, she said, I already answered the question, and I said before, it is all up to you. So, what is a loveless marriage? As the name suggests, a loveless marriage is a marriage where one or both partners are not in love. And they don't have to be in love in the beginning, okay? For people who believe that love is the basis of marriage, it can be a very new concept because they might think a loveless marriage is a moot point. So love is a fundamental aspect, and this is the suggestion of most second. So love is a fundamental aspect of marriage. It alone is insufficient. A strong marriage also relies on mutual respect, understanding, effective communication, and commitment. Initially, love acts as a key motivator, but it must be bolstered by these elements over time. Moreover, a successful marriage necessitates shared goals, mutual support, and resilience in facing challenges. And remember, Tuesday was it? Is love enough? That was what we talked about. We had Tuesday on. Is love enough? However, that may not be the case in loveless marriage. You would be surprised to know the number of people in loveless marriages who are happy or at least okay with the situation. Is it healthy to stay in a loveless marriage? There is no right answer to that question. Whether or not it is healthy to stay in a loveless marriage depends on whether or not you want to do it at all. What the terms and situations in your marriage are, and how happy or content you are in the situation. And believe it or not, and I know you to believe it, there are some people who don't even care about sexual intimacy. Some people just like to have someone to care about them. Just care, emotionally care about them. So any situation can be as healthy or unhealthy as you make it out to be. Therefore, The real question to ask here is whether or not you want to stay in the loveless marriage, and if yes, how can you be happy in that kind of marriage? Still wondering how to be happy in a loveless marriage? A loveless marriage can also be healthy if, even in the absence of love, there is trust and healthy communication in the marriage. That communication is key. I'm telling you, communication is key. Five signs you're in a loveless marriage. Okay, here goes something. Do you think you're in a loveless marriage but cannot place a finger on it yet? Here are five signs you're in a loveless marriage. Number one, you are constantly criticizing your partner. One of the signs that you and your partner are not in love anymore is when you are constantly criticizing each other. You do not really like how they talk, their demeanor, their behavior, and similar things. These problems are likely to be small, insignificant, and superficial. Number two, you do not like your partner anymore. Liking someone is very different from loving them. While you may not love your partner anymore, if you do not like them as well, it could be a sign of a loveless marriage. Now, when you try to remember why you decided to marry this person in the first place, you think of nothing. Okay, that's the sign, okay? Now, I don't think, now, I don't think if I didn't like the person, now, love and like are different. So if you're out of love with them and then you don't like them, I think it's time to get some I really do. Okay. Number three, but that's my opinion. You do not count on each other. That's number three. Another sign that you are in a loveless marriage is when your partner is not your go-to person anymore. You do not count on them. They do not rely on you in case of emergency or a crisis. Ooh, that would hurt me so bad if my husband, my significant other, went to somebody else instead of me. Oh my goodness. For an emergency? Wow, that's a case of mistrust decision. In cases of emergency, you may find yourself trying to solve the problems on your own, or you may ask for help. Number four, you avoid each other. You know your marriage is loveless and you do not look forward to spending time together. You don't try to avoid each other and each other's company as often as possible. You both try to avoid each other and each other's company as often as possible. You feel it's better because you can avoid any stress or arguments with your partner. So this is one of the loveless marriage signs. That's for real. My goodness. Number five, you think of getting out. A very common sign of being in a loveless marriage is when you start charting an escape plan or the idea of getting out of the relationship passes your mind. This is a clear sign that you are out of love with your partner and would like to live beyond your marriage. And here are 10 ways to be happy in a loveless marriage. Okay, 6 months. Being happy in a loveless marriage may not be the easiest thing to do. If you want help or advice on how to be happy in a loveless marriage, here are some. Number one, change your approach. One way to be happy in a loveless marriage would be to change your approach towards marriage in general. If you look at marriages as based on love, then changing your approach towards how you see them in the first place can be a good way to be happy in a loveless marriage. Number two, build a life for yourself. How do you continue to be in a loveless marriage? Another way to be happy in a loveless marriage is to build a life for yourself. Your marriage may or may not be a big part of your life, but when there is no love, it is important to start prioritizing yourself and understanding how you want to live your life with a loveless marriage. Now, I don't think that's a step that I would want to do if I love the person and there's both of them in life and I love them. I've got to go. Okay, somebody's got to go. It makes no sense to me. That's my point of view. Number three, change your environment. Here we go. How to cope with a loveless marriage. You ask to be happy. Changing your environment after you have realized and noticed the signs of a loveless marriage is a good idea. Changing your surroundings can help you process the situation better and understand that your next steps or course of action help you determine what they should be. Number four, show gratitude. How to stay happy in a loveless marriage. A very important way to be happy with almost any situation in life is to look at the positives and show gratitude for the good parts of your life. Showing gratitude can help you see that whether or not your marriage has love, you are still loved by other people, like your friends and family, and you have much to be thankful for. Okay. I think when it gets to that point, it's time to go. Number five, focus on your friendship. How to stay in a loveless marriage. Never going to help both of you. And then, too, there are some people who, like I talked about sickness, and there are some people who might get sick and they might not have anybody to take care of them. And then some people will stay there and take care of them, even though there might not be love, there might not be intimate affection, all of that. But because they need somebody, some people will stay there out of the goodness of their heart. And I think that's very, very commitment. Focus on your friendships. How to stay in a loveless marriage. Another way you have in a loveless marriage is to focus on friendships in your life. When you do so, you can build relationships apart from your marriage. You can also uh, work on building a friendship with your spouse if you both decide to stay in a loveless marriage. And now that I agree with. If you can become friends, that's good. But now let me say this. If you love each other anymore and you decide you don't, it's a loveless marriage, I don't see any point in you staying bound to each other as a married couple. Now, if you're going to stay in the same house together and have a friendship, I think that's quite okay. You can stay there, you can share the bills and whatever, and then you can have your other relationships after you have parted ways legally. Then you can have that friendship. That's the way I see it. Because my husband is not going to tolerate it. If we're still married, we're still in marriage, I would not want him having another lady coming around me and all that. And we say, we're friends, but we're still married. It won't work like that. Not with me. Okay? Number six. Oh, look at here. I've got 1 minute. Find your find your hobbies. Number seven, invest in yourself. Number eight, couples therapy. Number nine, acceptance. If you can once one of the first steps to being happy in a situation is accepting it. Now, if you accept that you're going to stay in a marriage, in a loveless marriage, then that's your decision. Okay, which also holds true for a loveless marriage. If you keep fighting your feelings or the fact that you or your partner are out of love, it may be too difficult to be happy. Acceptance is key. Number 10, find a healthy coping mechanism. While it may be a challenging place to be in, you can be happy in a loveless marriage by finding healthy coping mechanisms. This includes excessive social media use or use of alcohol, substance abuse. My God, these exclude, excuse me, excessive social media, use of alcohol, substance abuse, etc. Healthy coping mechanisms could mean therapy, exercise, or building a healthy social life beyond your marriage. Should you stay in a relationship? And then they have a video here. So I'm going to go ahead and close out, okay? And there's a question here, and I'm not finish this next week, God willing, okay? Pray for us. And tomorrow we will not air the Mother's Board. And so, God willing, we'll be on next week, and we'll have plenty to talk about. I love you so much, and I really appreciate you for being here with me. Thank you so much. This is Carnegie, and I am signing off. Thank you for being with me. I love you so, 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 so much. Enjoy the remainder of your day.